Hello, and welcome to the Divorced Dadvocate, divorce support for dads, where we help dads create a healthy and less traumatic divorce. My name is Jude Sandoval, and I'm your host. I created this podcast and the Divorced Advocate community as a result of my own high conflict divorce, and because you as a dad deserve all the resources necessary to thrive through this challenging time. I encourage you to check out our website at thedivorcedadvocate.com, where there are resources that correspond to this episode, as well as free access to our membership community, where you will find live meetings, free workshops and courses, private discussion groups, and more. And now, on to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to the show this week. I appreciate you tuning in and listening. We're going to be talking about what a dad should prepare for when contemplating filing for divorce. But again, as we always do, let's welcome the new members to the Divorced Advocate community. We probably have the most new members in a single week ever this week. And I want to welcome Craig, Chris, Ted, Dave, Brian, Matt, Dan, Daniel, and Rob to the Divorced Advocate community. If you're not a part of it yet, check it out at thedivorcedadvocate.com and get the support that you need and that you deserve. And we have all kinds of different tools for you there, from free to paid. So go check that out at thedivorcedadvocate.com. Probably the reason we have so many is because of our topic this week. It seems like the new year ends up being every year the start of what you could call the divorce season, when people start filing after the holidays. It seems like people wait through the holidays, and then there's a flurry of activities starting in the new year. So we're going to talk today about what a dad should prepare for when contemplating filing for divorce. As we know, it can be challenging in life and a life-changing decision a father may face by filing for divorce. And beyond the emotional toll, it requires really thoughtful planning and preparation to ensure a smooth transition for yourself and also for your children. So what we'll talk about today is we're going to explore the critical steps you should take when considering divorce. And I'm going to offer some practical advice and examples to help navigate the process as responsibly and effectively as you can. Now, this is not a comprehensive list, but it is going to be some things to give you to as food for thought. Now, the first thing is understanding your legal rights and obligations. And before you do anything, when you're in this contemplative time frame, it's essential to familiarize yourself with the legal framework in your jurisdiction. The divorce laws vary widely by state or county or in country, depending on where you're listening from today. And understanding these regulations will absolutely positively impact your child custody, the division of property, and your financial responsibilities. So, for example, if you live in a state in the United States like California, the assets or debts acquired during the marriage may be split equally between you and your spouse. It's called a community property state. Knowing this in advance will help you plan your finances and property arrangements. So some action steps. The first thing I would say is you can find your state statutes, or usually you can find your laws online. Do a Google search and read the statutes, read through all of them. You might not know or understand everything, but that's what you have an attorney for. That's going to be my next thing, which is to consult a family law attorney to understand custody arrangements and your parental rights. Now, this should not be the very first thing you do. It seems like that's the very first thing that most people do. You want to get yourself educated first. Learn the laws. At least read through the laws. The attorney is going to be one very important person on your team here, but not the person you want to just be leading you through the process. And that's a big mistake that I made, that I see a lot of guys make, and a lot of divorces make with men and women, that they let the attorneys lead the process, and that's not a great idea. Also, Research whether your state favors joint custody or primary custody arrangements. Know and understand what the difference between those things are. Learn how spousal and child support calculations are determined. In a lot of places in the United States here, they are just straight through by statute, and there is a calculation that you make. Often the jurisdictions will have a spreadsheet or a calculator for you to figure that out online. So you're going to have a pretty good idea as to what you're going to be looking at and facing in the process, and if you have to go to trial to make a determination about what that is. So really get up to speed on understanding your legal rights and obligations. Now, I could go into this, again, all of these different points in much more specific detail. I would say before doing anything, getting a divorce coach or somebody to guide you, somebody that may have been through this process, even if it's a friend, that they can give you just the lay of the land on how things went through. Now, just be careful with friends or family members because they have a vested interest in you and knowing you and wanting an outcome for you. So, and also just understand that every single divorce is unique to itself, and that no two divorces are going to be exactly the same. The circumstances, the people, the children, like everything is different. So just knowing and understanding the process is the important thing, but then it's up to you to be the one that's moving it in the direction that you are desiring it to go. Number 2, prioritize the well-being of your children. Their emotional and physical well-being should remain at the forefront throughout the divorce process. A key part of preparation involves developing a parenting plan that reflects their best interests. Now, you need to do that whether or not the other person, whether or not your soon-to-be ex is doing that or not. And this is oftentimes the reason why divorces become high conflict or that they end up at trial, is because it just takes one person not to be cooperative, and especially if that one person has some kind of disordered personality or some mental emotional issues. Courts are not structured to deal with that, but mitigating that as much as possible by keeping the well-being of your children in mind is important. And when I say that doesn't mean just capitulating. It doesn't mean just making things easy so that they're not put into the middle of it, even if you're not the one putting them into the middle of it. That might mean that you have to fight for them, and that you might have to go through a difficult and challenging trial in order to get the parenting time that you deserve and that you need, and that your kids deserve and need to be with you. So, another example is if you're working long hours, you might need to consider how custody arrangements and parenting time will accommodate your schedule while ensuring your kids maintain a stable routine. You might, for instance, you might propose weekend custody or shared holidays to maximize quality time. Some action steps around this is begin keeping a journal documenting your involvement in your children's lives, such as attending school events, medical appointments, and extracurricular activities. I see this happening, or I see this as very necessary, particularly with fathers who have been the breadwinners and they have had less of a role in the day-to-day activities of taking kids to school, maybe being involved in school and the classroom with teachers, etc. And now they're going to be responsible for this. And then they have a soon-to-be ex that is fighting to limit their parenting time. So making sure that you're keeping a journal, documenting this stuff. And if you have been less involved, make sure that you do get involved and start learning the names of the teachers and your kids' friends, etc., so that you're able to demonstrate that you are actively involved in your kiddos' lives, which it may have not been so much the case because of the family design, the way that the family has designed its activities and roles within the family unit, which is fine. But now that dynamic's going to change, and so you're going to have to change along with it. Also, research co-parenting apps like Our Family Wizard or Talking Parents to streamline communication with your ex-partner, especially if there is high conflict. Those are very important tools. Seek counseling for your children to help them navigate the emotional aspects of divorce, and consider whether or not you'll be able to keep your existing job. I alluded to this a little bit just in that first point there as well. Life is going to change, gentlemen, and this is going to be different. You're going from one household to two households, one household with the finances of one household, and what you have to pay for one household goes into two households, as well as the responsibility, the parenting responsibilities go on to one person during your parenting time. So that oftentimes may mean that there needs to be an adjustment at work, or maybe a change in work. I know that was the case for me, and I did make a conscious decision to do that, and that's okay. Number 3, get your finances in order. Divorce is going to bring a significant financial change, like I just mentioned, making it critical to assess your financial health before filing. So don't just wing this. It includes understanding your assets, liabilities, and how your financial obligations might change post-divorce. Sometimes, if gentlemen, you're not the ones handling the bills, or you don't know what's getting paid or what's going on with your finances, start figuring that out ASAP. You're going to need to know, you're going to need to understand and have a grasp of that once you get into the process here. An example is, suppose you are the primary earner in the family. In that case, you may need to prepare for spousal support payments while also adjusting your budget for a single income household. I alluded to this. Action steps are gather documentation of all income sources, bank statements, tax returns, and retirement accounts. Establish a personal bank account and begin saving for legal fees and future living expenses. And create a post-divorce budget that reflects potential alimony or child support payments. This is really important, to work through these scenarios that are going to potentially come up post-divorce, or the scenario that you're going to want to try to identify. And you can come up with different scenarios by working through this. It's no different than if you're any of you financial guys out there are running pro formas on maybe a certain kind of deal, or an acquisition, or a product launch. Run different pro formas on what things are going to look like. And that includes, we're going to talk about this in the next step of planning for housing arrangements and living arrangements, but that includes determining whether you're going to be able to keep a house, if somebody's going to be able to refinance a house, if you're going to have an additional either rent payment or a mortgage payment potentially. So you're going to have to calculate that in, as well as all the expenses that go with living, and then having 2 sets of children's clothes, all of that stuff. So think about all that, run those different scenarios, and see. Sometimes that's going to help determine what's going to happen. And provided both of you are thinking in a cordial and rational manner, then it makes it a little bit easier to make those determinations. Oftentimes that's not the case, which is one person just wants what they want because they want it. And it's just not financially feasible, and it doesn't make sense. And that's where you will need to stand your ground, sometimes fight for what it is that you believe is in the best interest of your kiddos. And sometimes also what is in your best interest, so that you're not financially stressed, is in the best interest of your kiddos, because they need to have a healthy and happy and present father, and not somebody that is broke and stressed out by finances because they capitulated during the process. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about number 4, which I said is plan for housing and living arrangements. And this is going to be a key decision. This is probably one of the top few decisions. And stability is crucial for children. So ensuring your living arrangement reflects their needs. And so this is also subjective as well. So that's why it's important in a lot of this, guys, to have somebody to bounce stuff off of, because kids are very resilient. Oftentimes, I hear, well, I want to keep them in the same house, et cetera, which is good. to an extent, depending on the circumstances, but you'd be surprised how resilient kids are in moving and finding new environments and situations, and how that can actually lead to positives as well. So get a divorce coach, get somebody to talk to and run through these with you. It'll help guide you with talking to a therapist if necessary, looking at the greater picture, the macro, if you will, of the entire situation. Action steps around this would be consider mediation to negotiate property division, ensure housing stability. Actually, here's the example first is if you plan to remain in the family home, or one of you does, assess whether you can afford mortgage payments and maintenance costs. And like I said, run those pro formas, because that's going to include yours as well. And depending on what both of your incomes are, or if only one of you have income, and what that child support is going to look like. So that'll help you determine if moving out is necessary. And if that's going to be the case, then start researching suitable housing options near your children's schools, depending on your level of income. And even if you have a high level of income, your environment is definitely going to change. And the level that you are potentially, the level that you are used to is probably going to change as well. Again, it's just a simple math problem. One household into two households equals less money. And so that lifestyle is going to definitely be impacted. So consider mediation to negotiate property division and ensure housing stability. Explore renting versus buying post-divorce based on your financial situation. Determine if you or your spouse can refinance the house into their name. This is a really big one, guys, that I see go sideways all of the time, particularly because of the process of refinancing, that you really need an expert, not just a financial expert, not just a mortgage broker, not just a real estate agent, but somebody that has dealt with going through this in the context of divorce, how much time it takes. The attorneys are not knowledgeable about this, and the courts are not just don't have a good grasp of the time frame that it takes, especially if you're doing a workout with a bank and you want to keep an existing loan. It takes a vast amount of time, and when I say vast, it could take a year or more, and then you get an agreement out of the courts, or you guys agree either mediation or the court orders you to have it done in 90 days. That means it's not going to get done, and you're going to be in contempt of court. And then if one person wants to be punitive, they can take you back to court. I see it happen all of the time, unfortunately, because the courts aren't knowledgeable. The attorneys aren't knowledgeable. They don't know how the process works. So get somebody that actually knows. And again, this is where a coach is really going to be able to help you at least say, this is something to consider. You need to talk about this, or you need to fight for this. So that's a big one, because the housing one is a big one. And with interest rates up right now, if you've got a lower mortgage payment and one of you can refinance into your name and keep that, or not refinance, but work it out with the mortgage company to take the other person off the loan, that will help immensely, keep the stability around the house, et cetera. But it takes quite a bit. And there are professionals around that are well versed in this. So just one example. There's a lot of those examples too. If you have a business, et cetera. Again, I'm not going to get into all the details. There are all varying different minutia and things. Like I said, every divorce is very, very different. Number 5, prepare for emotional and mental health challenges. This is going to be an emotional roller coaster for sure. Prioritizing your mental health is essential, and seeking support from friends, from family, from professionals is going to help you navigate the complexities of this period. An example would be you might experience guilt or anxiety about the divorce and its impact on your children. This was a big one for me. The guilt was massive. Speaking with a therapist who specializes in family dynamics can help you manage these feelings and develop healthy coping strategies. That's a big one, is the coping strategies, right? Poor coping strategies lead to more difficulties and challenges. Action steps: join a support group for divorced dads and connect with others facing similar challenges. This is the number one reason why we started the Divorced Advocate community. I know when I went through it, I was fortunate to have just one friend that I could talk to, but having a community of men that are either contemplating going through or having already gone through divorce would have been absolutely incredibly helpful. Practice self-care routines like exercise, mindfulness, or journaling. We talk about the four stools of the legs, the four legs of a stool: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual. And start just slowly with making sure that you are staying balanced in your self-care routines around each one of those. And consider therapy. We talked earlier about considering therapy for your kiddos to help them through the transition. This is the same for you as well. Consider therapy to address unresolved conflicts constructively. Stuff is going to come up during this. Like I said, it's going to be an emotional roller coaster. So having a therapist there that you can talk to on a regular basis, in addition to a divorced dads group or a church group or somebody else or another group or multiple groups, is going to be very beneficial. And the last suggestion is build a support network, which is what I just alluded to. Surround yourself with a strong support system. This is going to make the transition smoother. Friends, families, professional advisors that can all provide guidance and encouragement when you need it most. I would say get all of those around you. Get a support network of a financial planner or a CPA, a therapist, an attorney, a real estate agent, a mortgage broker, a divorce coach, a team, your community, whether it's a church support group or a divorced dads group like the Divorced Advocate. Get all of those people in place and start just adding to your team. You're going to be the coach of this team, and you're going to be the one that is calling the shots and the plays for what's going to happen. And these people are going to be supporting you and working for you. But you're going to be the one that is ultimately responsible for the direction in which you want to move. An example of building this support network is your parents or siblings might offer emotional support, while a financial advisor can help you create a realistic budget for your new life. So you can see how those vary, and those are different things that can help you. Here's the thing you're going to experience around this, and then we'll wrap up with some action steps, is that each of these individual support network people are going to have their narrow focus on what's going on. So obviously a financial advisor is going to just be really thinking and focusing on the finances specific to you and what's beneficial for you, but they're not going to be looking at the greater picture, whereas parents and siblings might be able to offer emotional support and understand more about you, the family dynamic, and your children, and what kind of decisions you need to make in order to support that. A financial decision might have to include something like that. If you have a business and selling a business or refinancing a business in order to take somebody out of it, that as well as a consideration. And so the business broker or the person financing that, or somebody refinancing a house for you or helping you with the work out of the house, is just going to be really zeroed in on what you're doing for that and how that's going to help, but it's not going to help you look at the greater picture. So again, that's why a divorce coach is absolutely critical. It'll help you. It's almost like having a head coach or a general manager that's helping you to analyze all the different situations, the different players, the different scenarios, et cetera, and make a decision that is best for you. So some action steps around building the support network are: identify trusted individuals you can turn to for advice or a listening ear. Consider hiring professionals like financial planners, like I said, real estate agents, or custody evaluators. Stay involved in social or recreational activities to maintain a sense of normalcy. That's an important one. Actually, all of those are really important, and we could do an episode on each one of those, and we have done on some of those as well. But as far as the hiring professionals, talk to multiple professionals too, and go watch them in court for attorneys. Talk to friends or family members or other. That's one of the great things about our community is we've got dads that have been through this, and they have resources. We talk about resources every single group meeting that we get on, and somebody's either got something that's tried and true that we've used before, or there's always new stuff that comes up and new resources that guys talk about. In the membership site, behind the membership wall, you'll find hundreds of hours of recordings of our group meetings, and those are invaluable in not only talking and listening through us talk about the different scenarios that each of the guys are experiencing, but also the resources that come up with those. So do that. And then, the last one is creating a sense of normalcy for yourself by staying involved in social recreational activities. And I'll end on this before my conclusion, but don't self-isolate. Absolutely do not self-isolate. You need the support through this. You need people helping you. I remember one client that was incredibly fearful of talking to his boss about what was going on in his life, and I encouraged him, and we finally worked through and did some coaching around having that conversation. And when he had it, the guy's like, "Oh man, I've been through one of those too. Whatever I can do, let me help you." He ended up getting a transfer to another location. It made things so much easier, but it all was contingent upon him being able to have that conversation and open up about it. You're going to find that a ton of other dads have gone through this stuff, and we all want to be there, and we want to be able to help you. And that's part of what the divorced advocate community is. So it's never easy. Divorce is not easy. I'm not gonna kid you with that. But with proper preparations, you can navigate the process with some confidence and definitely integrity. And by prioritizing your children's needs, organizing your finances, seeking emotional support, you can emerge from this challenge ready to build a healthier and more stable future. Remember, preparation, as it is with anything, is absolutely key. Preparation is key. Consult with professionals, document everything, take proactive steps to protect your rights and your role as a father. And with patience and planning, you'll be better equipped to face this challenge ahead. Gentlemen, thank you so much for listening. If you found some value in this today, please share it far and wide on social media or with another divorced dad or a dad that's contemplating divorce. Leave us a star rating on whatever podcast platform you're listening to, or give us a comment that helps other divorced dads tune in and get the support that they need and deserve. Have a great week, and God bless.
To hear the rest of this episode and access the corresponding resources, visit thedivorcedadvocate.com and become a member of our community. It's free to join and will provide you with the resources you deserve as a divorced or divorcing dad. Thank you for listening. God bless, and I'll talk with you next week.